Hi, Sam. How you doing?
Oh dear.
At night.
Potentially. Oh, then yes, they were definitely on fire. Is that why I had to put some ice on them?
Please pause. There's the flag. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll leave that there now. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting. All those in favor, please say aye. All right, visitors communication. We start with the fire department promotions. Chief, take it away.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Tonight is a fun night for the fire department. A little bit bittersweet in the fact that Captain Rick Doherty is retiring at the end of the month. So with his retirement, that's going to open up an opportunity for Captain spot. And since we're promoting one of our lieutenants to captains, it's going to open up a lieutenant spot. So I got two gentlemen who participated in our fire promotion testing back at the beginning of this year. And they're at the top of their respective lists, and that's Lieutenant Casey Carr and Firefighter Paramedic Sam Burman. We get Sam to come up here first, real quick. So Sam started at the department in 2015. He was assigned to my shift initially when I was working as captain. He's completed a lot of different tasks, anything that's ever asked of him. Taken big interest into our pre-plan program. Ironically enough, because of him and Lieutenant Carr, so our pre-plans finally got finished after quite a number of years, so we're really proud of that. But I brought Sam up here, and this is his wife, Jamie, and she's going to go ahead and get us some chance bags on it. So, great, we're good with that.
I'm going to try not to talk.
We won't say anything.
And Sam will be assigned to today's shift, shift one, which will still be underneath Captain Lump right there. So you will see him there, Lieutenant Burley.
Thank you, Chief Damon, Mayor Haas, members of council. Thank you guys very much for this opportunity, Mr. Kramer. This is something I've been working for since I came here 7 years ago. It's always been my goal to be an officer here. You know, it's a pretty special department and a pretty special city, which everybody here already knows. The relationship that the fire department has with not only the people who run the city, but also the citizens, I feel is one of, kind of admiration and mutual respect. And there's not a lot of places that are like that. So very happy to be here, very happy to continue my career here as an officer for the city of Fort Thomas. I just want to thank quickly my wife Jamie and the rest of my family. Firefighter schedule is not easy on the home life, as everybody knows, and any firefighter can say that about their family. So, we have 4 little ones that are here. It's my wife Jamie, and then Nolan, Tucker, Abel, and Lincoln, our 4 sons. So, she obviously has her hands full when I'm gone, weekends and nights and holidays. So, wouldn't be here without her. So, thank you, and thank you all.
Very good.
So next I got Lieutenant Carr. Casey started on the department in 2004. Served on a lot of different shifts. I've worked with Casey both as a firefighter and as a lieutenant. He was promoted to lieutenant in 2015. He's been hanging out for a captain's position for a little while, and now one opened up, and he's been able to do that. Once again, like I said, he helped spearhead our pre-plan program, and You know, I can't understate the importance of having good pre-plans in all the businesses in the city, and I'm happy for both of these two gentlemen right here for the work that you've done. So Casey is now today serving as lieutenant on shift 1. On October 1st, he'll assume the captain position on shift 2. So, Captain Carr. And his wife Esther is here to put his badge on him.
Thanks, Chief, Mayor, Council, Mr. Kramer. Really appreciate it. I think Sam said it well. This city is a remarkable city. It's been a pleasure to work here for the last 18 years. Loved it so much we moved our family into the city after we realized how great it was. And we have no plans of going anywhere. I hope that we can make it better with these promotions and keep moving forward. And thank you to the rest of my family. I got my sisters, my mom and dad, my wife Esther, my 2 girls, they move around, and then Scarlett and Addison, and my son Dylan are here. So we're happy to be embedded in this community, and I'm going to do the best I can to make everyone in the city proud of our department and to keep the communication going between us, the city, and all the citizens. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Congratulations. Thank you for your service to the city. All the firefighters appreciate what you do. Thank you. All right, next on the agenda. Oh, this is going to be fun. I have a presentation of a proclamation. Mark Leopold, are you here? Yes, he is. Good. This is a proclamation about Mark Leopold. Whereas we are gathered here today to honor Mark Leopold for his volunteerism, devotion, and work on the Fort Thomas Tree Commission and his extensive dedication to the fight to preserve our forests and streams. Whereas Mark was raised in Fort Thomas and attended St. Thomas Elementary and High Schools. After graduation, he attended the University of Kentucky, where he secured a 20-plus year career as a UK agricultural extension agent, stationed for the most part in Robertson County, Kentucky, where he aided farmers, educated youth, including 4-H programs, and was key in preserving the cultural heritage of the area. And whereas Mark returned to Fort Thomas in 1999 and was successful in obtaining a position with NKU Center for Environmental Restoration for a 23-plus year career, training over 200 students, undertaking $20 million plus in stream and forest restoration. And whereas Mark was the principal individual leading stream and forest restoration in Tower Park and many other projects in northern Kentucky. And whereas Mark volunteered and also was the leader for many different programs over the years, some of these being 10 years as sampler and county coordinator with the Licking River Watershed Watch, and 23 years with the Northern Kentucky Urban and Community Forestry Council, planting thousands of trees on public lands. Whereas Mark was a board member with the Fort Thomas Forest Conservancy, the chairman of Land Protection and Stewardship Committee, and technical advisor for Native Garden, Invasive Plant Eradication, and Conservation Easement Program. And whereas Mark was a leader, volunteer, and past chairman of the Fort Thomas Tree Commission for 23 plus years, and was instrumental in initiating the city's front yard tree planting program, revised tree ordinance, and tree species and planting standards. And whereas Mark and his wealth of knowledge will be greatly missed by the city in his role on the Tree Commission, but we all wish him the very best in his retirement and hope that he continues to be a voice for the trees, wherever life may take him. Now therefore I, Eric Haas, Mayor of the City of Fort Thomas, Campbell County, Kentucky, do hereby proclaim that September 19th, 2022 be declared as Mark Leopold Day within the City of Fort Thomas, and hereby ask that all local citizens honor Mark and express best wishes and admiration to him on this day. Witness whereof I hereunto set my hand this 19th day of September in the year of our Lord 2022. Mark, at home can see this. Mark, congratulations. Thank you. I mean, thank you for everything you've done for the city. It's absolutely amazing. I couldn't believe it. I always pre-read those things because all those words in there, oh my gosh. All the things that he's done over his career is absolutely amazing. And we have definitely benefited in the city of Fort Thomas from that. I have a copy of your proclamation here. And now that you're retired and you don't need to know what time it is, we're giving you a clock. Never understood that. All right, now something else exciting. Okay. Presentation of artwork. Never show as. Okay, who's doing this? Oh, go right ahead. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, all of those in attendance, it's a really exciting evening tonight. I'm Sherry Thompson. I own Wild I Love Interior Design. I'm a local business owner. It's been my honor and privilege to work alongside the city to design the new city building, which I can't wait for everyone to see at some point. It's been full of lots of decisions, big, small. The easiest decision, however, which usually is the hardest decision, was for the premier art piece for the city. I could think of no one other than our own beloved Pepper Schultz. And Ken Bowman was nice enough to work with me. We've been talking about the appearance of local artists. And I mean, that is Fort Thomas. I mean, I've known her all my life. I've always wanted to be Bev. I always thought she was just so cool, she was so stylish, and so it's kind of come full circle. So, as most of you are aware, Bev is internationally known for her beautiful art. I mean, I have several pieces in my house. I just told her that do what she wants because I love everything she does. She just has a way with brush of just transporting you to wherever she has painted. It's so amazing that ability to do that. So I myself have not seen the painting either because I wanted to be as surprised as all of you because I knew I would love whatever she did and I know you all will too. And so it's such an honor and a pleasure. I'm just so eternally grateful that you have agreed to donate this gorgeous, gorgeous gift to the city. So I'm happy to introduce that person.
Well, I am thrilled that I am included in the renovation of the city hall. I've been up there and I've seen it. Of course, it's not completed, but I've seen what they've done. It is beautiful and it's going to be wonderful. And this painting is going to be right in the entrance on the second floor, which you can see it from the first and the second floor. So I wanted to make it warm and cheerful and full of everything that we all love about our city. The parks, the people, the green spaces, and now you see it. Ken gets me into more things.
And we're so glad. Like what around
Well, yes, I'll point out this so that you know all of it. Some of the buildings are so large, so they're symbolic. I had to pick certain features of certain buildings. This is one city building, and it includes fire engines. I have that fire department excluded. And this is the shelter in the park, and this is the amphitheater. I think that's right here in Tower Park. And of course, the American flag, and this is the Polk Tower in the center of town. And this is my resident here. His name is Harold. And I had to include him. And then children on the slide in the park, and the little dogs. Dogs were everywhere. I had dogs. And then this one, my daughter said, "What's this?" I said, "Well, it's a weird little animal, so it could be anybody's pet." And also, I had kids on my signals and all to try to run over you. And this is Highland High School. I'm sorry that it's so small and sort of where it is, but it's such a big building. I just did the facade of it. Oh, and this is a car going by. There's always cars going. I wish y'all could see this up close. This is the dog's head sticking out the window. Kids on the slide. This is my dear Bella. And then the one thing with church, and then I followed in the Baptist looking there, the Presbyterian church is represented, and so I just took this symbol, which is on the front of the Presbyterian church. It was also on the altar at our church, United Church of Christ. It's a form of a cross. And then I included the Garden Club there with the concert. They do it at least twice a year. They do those. And then this is the Navajo building, the south end of the neighborhood, Navajo. Nevada. But I love it because it really represents all of the buildings up at the fort. Charming. And what else? And the woods were trees. I could have done trees everywhere. For the woods all around. Oh, and then this is the new condominium uptown on Highland. And but out there again, the largeness was it. So I just used the umbrella and the people. And this is the stone wall that I think is really charming. So I just sort of picked out symbols of buildings that would represent them so that they were in here but not overwhelming. Everyone had its space. So that's it.
It's absolutely right. That is going to look so wonderful up in the city building, and I can't wait till we get in there. And hopefully, it will be relatively soon. Relatively, whatever that means. Awesome. All right, we are still, thank you all very much. Bev, honestly, that's magnificent. Thank you so much for doing that. I'm so excited that it's going to be part of it. That's wonderful. We are still under visitors and communications. If there's anybody that would like to address council on any issue, please come up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record.
I'm Gemma Harris, 66 Carney Lane. I was 100% prepared to not speak tonight, but that I could give the time to me. I should start by prefacing saying, whereas I taught Mark Leopold at St. Thomas High School when he was there. So answer all of your whereas.
That's great.
So, two little tiny things about the finance committee. It was a very interesting conversation. The only part that was kind of sad to me was at the end, it's like, well, or else we could just leave it the way it was. And I thought, oh my gosh, it's come so far. This ordinance, and although I didn't read it word for word, I heard it summarized point by point by point. And the codification of it just sounded so clear. And, you know, maybe I'm a detailed person, black and white, if it says it there, you know where you stand. You're not wiggling and, you know, shouldn't, maybe we can bend this way or bend it that way. I really appreciated the work that went into the ordinance. And so it kind of, I'm glad that after it was like, or we can just leave it the way it is, say, well, there'll be another discussion. So that in itself, I think, is good. I'm not sure where it'll go from there. But I hope they stick with the ordinance. Again, I can clearly spell out, just prevents error, or I hate to say favoritism, but I guess it is. Spell it out. Well, when Matt said, it's past the deadline, they don't get it. And it's like, well, that's easy. If you say, well, we've got 48 hours after the deadline, then the deadline isn't the deadline. So that's a minor thing, but again, black and white to me is very easy to work around. The other part that really surprised me was how many times the word blight came in to make it less blighted, to decrease the blight. And that word stuns me that we'll be using that in our town, only because in my recent research to find out that the word blight is a federally and state defined word. And when I see the 8 or 9 things that need to be existing to qualify for the word blight, I've never seen that before, Thomas. If I'm wrong, please tell me where I am. But when they're talking about unfit for human habitation, occupancy, or use, the building, because of neglect or lack of maintenance, has become a place for accumulation of substantial trash and debris, or a haven for rodents and other vermin that create potential health and safety hazards. I hope we don't have that. It's an attractive nuisance for children or for illicit purposes, including drug use and vagrancy. I hope we don't have that. I'm not going to say that there aren't some things that could possibly use improvement, visual, structural, aesthetic improvement, but the word blight is way, please again, tell me if I'm that far off base, it's way far from the grants that are being given. They're not taking it out of blight, because these places weren't in blight condition. Am I misinterpreting?
I'm not even sure that that word is in the ordinance. I know that we had that as part of the discussion. I know when I personally mentioned facade grants that came from the feds to the state, it was part of the Main Street program. Blight was part of the description of it. So if I said that, my apologies. That's not the intention of this. It's to improve the visual aesthetics of the city. I'm not sure blight's in here. I'm looking for it right now.
Oh, it's not, and I didn't read the ordinance. I was listening, and it was summarized sort of points.
It is.
But
Okay.
the word blight from more than one person on the panel, less blighted, in my opinion, means there's blight. And again, I was stunned that it was a federal definition that they're part of these 7 things of which constitute blight. You don't need all 7, but just any of them. So I guess my summary is, who wouldn't vote for, I don't want blight? You know, I want it not so blighted. What's not blighted? So, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address council?
Yes, I would, and I'd like to thank Mr. Kramer, Matt, for the effort to put into the ordinance. I think anytime you have a program like this, it does need to be put into the ordinance. And I'm not sure if people were talking about when they said leave it as it is. I think they're talking maybe about leaving the program as it is, but still leaving it in an ordinance. I guess some of the things that were kind of, I heard ADA mentioned. However, I got the information, thanks, Melissa's not here, but I got the information.
She's wearing a Steve boot.
Oh! Oh! Sorry, that was not intentional. But she compiled the information for me for the current year for the uplift. That's great. Okay, Chandler is that. Okay, so I guess the ADA was mentioned by several people for ADA improvements. However, I would like for the council members, Mr. Peterman, how many grants were given out of Grow, Uplift, or the Upfit, what's the other one? The rent subsidy were, well, I guess we can't count. How many of the other 2, Grow and Upfit, were used for ADA compliance. Give me a guess, give me a guess, just guess. Guess, give me a number. It's real easy. Well,
None, I guess. None.
you know the answer, maybe. Mayor House?
I don't know.
Tim? Sorry.
Probably not.
Melissa knows. Ken?
I'm gonna
I'm
guess
taking
it's
the fifth.
zero, but it's not our function to micro.
I'm not talking about micromanaging, but it came up that we're using, the ADA, so
But I mean, it could be in the future.
Elizabeth, we never said we were using it. It's a part of the new grant.
it's a
we
part,
want to add.
it's a part of the new grant.
Correct.
But it seemed like that was an important part, but there was only one that received. So we had for the upfit grants, we had for Thomas Coffee, got $18,840 for a hood and exhaust. So that stays with the building when that leaves. King Brew Properties got $7,562 for electrical. Padrino got $18,840 for electrical and plumbing. JJ Bear got $3,800 for flooring. Kamal got $9,800 for flooring. Mint Yoga got $2,600 for tuck pointing. Dance Round, close to $3,000 for flooring. Gross, $4,700 for flooring. Those were all the upfit grants. So that's what they're trying to roll into the grow grants, which, I don't know. But then we had the rent subsidies. You had I lied. The rent subsidies. You had King Brew got $500 a month, and Kamal got $500 a month. And then for the grow grants, you had Gross Insurance got $15,000 for marble for the exterior. Lunaire and Chip got $2,400 for an awning. Kids and Cribs got $4,400 for a fence for the playground. Blue Marble, $7,300 for the ADA accessible walkway. So there's the one. Kamal got $2,661 for paint for the facade. For Thomas Coffee, that meets requirements. Country Insurance, $14,250 for paint. King Brew, $15,000 for a fence. For Thomas Parlor, close to $1,000 for a sign. And Pub and Grill, 915, got $13,000 for tuck pointing. Dance Round, $15,000 for windows, AC, maintenance paint. So that's where the money, and there was some other money could not be given information because the businesses haven't been announced yet. So I guess Mayor Hotz, you brought up, and I love Covington, what they did, and I think bringing that here was a genius idea. I love it, but the one thing that Covington does, you see what they do. They put an article you always read about what they spent their money on. That they announced these grow grants or whatever they call them there, and you always read about it. It seems like Fort Thomas wants to keep these secret for some reason, and it shouldn't be a secret. You should be getting it out there that you support the businesses to get more businesses to come here. I brought it up at a Renaissance meeting, and they said they were going to send it out to all the media outlets. Didn't happen, and I don't know if it's ever going to happen, but that's my 2 cents worth. And I really think the grow grants, I think if you put that, I truly believe going into the restaurants and having a ADA, because I try to bring some of my family in with the wheelchair, and we just can't do it. So I think if you put an emphasis on that, for those grow grants, rather than paying for foundations, I think that would be good for business. So, thank you.
Great, thanks for your feedback.
You mind if I just comment? Elizabeth, I really appreciate what you're saying. So the reason I've got temporary accessibility parking because I had ankle surgery. And I'm telling you, 90% of the time I try to park, and there are known spots on it. We do not, and until you need something like that, you're just not aware of it, so thank you for raising people's time.
I spoke to Janet because someone approached me about that because a handicapped child, and there is no handicap parking within the entire, whether it be the central business district, anywhere, we don't have it.
And I'm not talking about Fort Thomas, I'm talking about, and I'll name names, Kroger. I'll tell you what, I mean, I go there, there's never a spot vacant, there just aren't enough,
Well,
big
they have
aging population,
Right.
which I guess I represent now, but we really do need to have the balance, which, again, you don't have unless you need it.
Yeah, and that's part of the plan for our public lots that we're working with.
Yeah.
When does our first lot of those grants expire? Because we did the extra ones there with ARPA, when do those expire?
They're done now.
So if anything, because they were quite a bit of money, $120,000 each or whatever, it just rolled back into the ARPA, whatever they will use.
Yes. Yeah, no, we spent it all.
Oh, we did spend it all?
Yeah, we spent all of last year's grant money.
Great, would anyone else like to address council?
Now this wasn't complete, this was still complete. It didn't sound like, that's why I was wondering, this should be.
And that's why it's been advertised.
All right, we'll move along with our agenda then. Our corporate finance committee program ordinance that we're just talking about.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Haas. Thank you for the comments on the program and the meeting tonight. Finance committee meeting met at 6:15 to discuss the existing program. I'll just be quick. I think everybody, most of you were at that meeting, so you know what we're talking about. Program's been around since 2018. The city receives $60,000 a year from the rental agreement with the cell tower up behind the city building. The money's been very productive. It's a good way for the city to partner and help support businesses that need it and that meet the eligibility requirements. Ever since I learned about the program when I got on council, I felt like it was such a neat thing and unique to our area, and I'm really proud to support it. And I'm proud of the work the council and the city does to be able to help businesses in town. Moving forward, and I'll speak to a couple of the comments tonight. I think as chairman of the finance committee, I can tell you it's my intention that we definitely do want to get this codified as an ordinance. We talked to Matt at length about this, and I think that's the right way to go. And I'm confident the finance committee is going to recommend doing that when we meet again. We put it on. We didn't make a recommendation this evening. We had a really good discussion. A lot of good points were brought up. The language currently is pretty specific as to bullet pointing acceptable uses for the funding. And there's just a discussion we want to tweak a little bit and just make sure that we have everything in that list is what we want it to be. And if there are things that we feel like aren't acceptable uses, we can remove them. I made a comment at finance committee, and I just want to repeat it so that you all know how I feel. I think that it's important when we consider these bullet points. We don't want to box ourselves out of any opportunities. What I mean by that is the way this money is allocated is so specific to every business and every business owner, depending on the needs, and that's always going to be that way throughout the duration of the program. So I want to make sure that we can assess those needs, and if they do indeed meet the eligibility requirements, and the city feels like it's an appropriate use of the funding, we're able to support those businesses. And we're not put in a position where we say, sorry, we can't support you because there's a bullet point in this ordinance, and we didn't think of this specific example. So after the conversation, we just decided we're going to meet again before next month's council meeting. We'll have another finance committee meeting. So please, everybody attend who has an interest in the program ordinance. And I fully expect we'll have a recommendation after that meeting, and we will go forward. And it should be great.
Beth, would you explain the 50-50 instead of the 70-30?
Sure.
I thought that was kind of an important piece.
Absolutely, yeah. And Matt, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but currently the program that we have been supporting since 2018, if an applicant is deemed eligible and awarded funding, the city will pay up to 70% of the improvement cost that is required, and the business owner is required to pick up the tab for the other 30%. So it's a true partnership in that regard. Under the proposed ordinance language, it's what we'd like to do is instead of 70-30, we'd like to make it 50-50, right down the middle. So the business owner would be required to put forth 50% of their improvement costs, and the city will put up the other 50%. Why that's important is because it does two things. One, it requires the business owner to have more stake in the game, obviously. But two, it reserves some more of the funding. It saves some of our pot of money that we can then disperse to, a broader array of businesses that are deemed necessary and eligible for the funds.
Great, thank you. Any questions? All right.
The meeting was a little short today too, I think we might have done that too, so.
I'm really confident that we're not.
I agree, I think we were 20 minutes short of probably coming out with something pretty strong.
Yeah, keep it on the front of mind, and we'll have a really good discussion, when we meet again, so we'll get done scheduled with that.
Great, thank you. Now, the reports of officers, fire department monthly report.
Thank you, Mayor. So what I'd like to add on my monthly report is, most people probably saw that we had a fire a couple weeks ago down in the center of town. And yet we found another situation where there were no working smoke detectors inside the house there. This is like the third or fourth one that we've had in the past couple of years where there's smoke detectors present, but they're not working. Much like Chief Kilgore says, just lock your cars and take your valuables out of your home. It's that easy just to test your smoke detectors and make sure they're working. We're going to have some of our fire staff work on some type of a public education campaign, but for anybody that's listening to this meeting, just make sure your smoke detectors are working.
I always like the idea that you did a promotion around the time change.
Yes.
Because you gotta go around your house and change all the clocks. And that's a good time to say, okay, change the battery or something. I just thought that was a smart thing. It's every 6 months. It's a good thing.
And the banner will be posted out front for the applicants.
Good. Thanks, Chief. Any questions for the Chief? Entertain a motion.
Move to receive the file.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Police Department.
Mayor, I don't have anything to add tonight. That's right, one time, it's my first time, thanks.
All right. Any questions? Somebody have a question for him? Make it fun.
We just passed that.
Entertain a motion.
Move to receive the file.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right, city administrator's report.
Thank you, Mayor. I think the only thing I'm gonna have to talk about tonight is the ladder truck. So late Friday, and didn't get a chance to dissect it till this morning. But we had talked the last council meeting about working on the ladder truck and getting that proposal done by the end of October to avoid the increases that were coming along. We found out this morning that September 30th, there's going to be a 15.5% increase on Cummins engines, which the engine for the fire truck is $142,000. So we're looking at about a over $19,000 increase here next Friday. Fire department has done a real good job. They've narrowed it down to 2, and then from the 2 that they were looking at, they've already narrowed it down to 1. So the one they're looking at is a Pierce, and the reason is it's got this 500-gallon water tank as opposed to a 400. The ladder reach, the horizontal reach is 100 feet that they were speccing out. The E1 was only 92, and then it's got the better engine, essentially. He explained it in a lot more detail than that, but I think we can understand a better engine. So the ladder and the water capacity, of course, were the biggest things for the single axle. So with that said, we did have a price come in last week, but now looking at this increase, we've got a couple things to do. One, I should say this, the business we're working with, they're trying to get a 30-day extension because they had originally told us 1 November, which is the timeline we were all focusing on. So that's still out there. However, if we don't get that 30-day extension on the price, then the city, we got to make a decision. Do we go ahead and approve the mayor to sign it by the 30th, or do we go ahead and take the increase and stick with our normal timeline? I did have Tim prepare a municipal order to allow the mayor to sign that tonight, if that was something that the council was interested in. The other option would be to have a special meeting next week. The municipal order would only be contingent if we didn't get the 30-day. If I got the 30-day, I'd still like to present everything, the full package, ahead of time. But it's just, it's one of those things where, you know, that's a lot of money to not take advantage of. For a ladder truck, we, you know, decided last month in committee that we're gonna purchase it. There's really no other option to do that, and it's not gonna get any cheaper. And it's an over 2-year build. So, with no money down right now. So that's where we're at right now. The final came in at, 1.425 million, so 1,425,000 is what the build's going to be. That's if we get it by next Friday. Is it next Friday? By next Friday. After that, it would be almost 20,000 more moving forward. So just wanted to put out to council if we want to have a special meeting next week, if we want to go ahead and pass the municipal order authorizing the mayor to sign the purchase agreement for this, or whatever they thought. Like I said, normally, obviously, I'd like to get more notice in this, but this was a last minute notice from Cummins Engines that this is happening on the last day of this month.
I guess it's not like buying a Dodge pickup truck. There's not a lot of places to shop.
Correct. Correct.
It would be appropriate to do a motion now, as far as the agenda.
If council would.
Probably can motion.
Is there a second?
So we have to have a motion to accept it, just to discuss it.
Authorize the mayor to enter into the purchase agreement.
There's a municipal order that's.
No, I saw that. You know, Matt talked to me a little bit beforehand because it would come to my committee, and this is one of those unusual circumstances where he was going to come present it in a month, and we were hit with something, and it didn't make today's agenda. You know what I mean? Like it should have, and it's a big purchase order, it's a big loss, so we did agree to move forward with it, and I don't like things not being on the agenda. You know what I mean? But this is an unusual circumstances, and it didn't come along. You know what I mean? So that's so it's just. I don't.
We can add that to the order.
Well, it's also, we can also wait and then do a meeting, but this is one of those weird situations.
So we did discuss it last month, which is why I'm comfortable with it, because it's not the first time. I mean, if I just came out and this is the first time we talked about a ladder truck, I think we did talk about it last month. Again, if we get this extension, I do want to hold off and follow the original plan. But if not, you know, I'd like to authorize the mayor. And just so everybody knows, the municipal order, it says up to 1.5 million. Right now, you know, Chief's pretty confident in the 1.425, but just in case something, you know, 5,000 something comes up, I want to be able to cover that. So that number can change, whatever you guys are comfortable with. Obviously, we're stingy with the money.
I would like to remind everybody on council that the report that the chief made and his team was absolutely phenomenal. They went through a lot of detail on the different trucks and what we needed and why we needed, and the 2-year window and all the things. I was extremely impressed by the thoroughness of that report. So yes, I think we've had plenty of opportunity to look at that. It's just a timing issue now.
I did see that the current truck we have would either go to another city or
it would be surplus.
I mean, could we recoup something in our surplus? I prefer to see some money coming back from the existing as opposed to donating it to another municipality.
No, we never, I don't think I said donate. We would charge, but you know, we're going to do what we can. We're going to surplus it. We're going to put it out for auction first. If that doesn't get us anything, or it's not very much money, then we'll probably seek other options. The last ladder truck that I sold my previous job was to another agency because when we put it up for auction, the money was dismal. So when you go to another agency, government agency, you can really set the price. So we actually made more money by doing that anyway, at the same time helping a struggling volunteer fire department. So we're going to try to get as much as we can for the ladder truck and the engine. So remember, we're surplusing 2 vehicles once this ladder truck comes in. So we'll obviously try to maximize the revenue on both of them. Okay. But none of them is going to be given away.
Is there an estimate on what we might recoup?
I don't want to hear it, kid.
Honestly, I'd say 30,000 combined will probably be fine.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
I don't want to hear it again. It's terrible.
So,
It's two of them.
if I get more, then I'll be happy, but realistically, of the last engines I've surplus, it's a very, very, very small market. Not many people want a double axle ladder truck. In your driveway.
Especially in small fires. But there's a vehicle or two to get the word out nationally, perhaps? I mean.
Yes, there's a couple different ways. The one I did try to use, there is a regional, essentially a fire department car lot. Now, the problem is current KRS does not allow us to utilize it, just because of the bidding, which I have brought to legislators 2 years ago, and I'll be bringing up again this year. The point of the bid process in surplusing is to maximize our dollars, but a lot of times it hinders that as well, because we don't have the opportunity to really wheel and deal with people. But there are, depending on when this is 2 years from now. So that's one thing we're going to look at, where you essentially it's like real estate, where you're giving somebody the truck to sell for us, and we try to maximize profits. The other thing, obviously, is the online auction, and then the third thing would be to find another agency in the state or region that would be interested in it and surplus it to another government agency, and then at that point we can work out any kind of deal, which we come to work out before we do.
I'd like back what Mayor Haas said about the Chief's presentation for this. It was actually a great discussion, a long discussion. There's a lot, it's a lot of money, and he nailed everything. Do you want to go over it a little bit, exactly what it does and what it combines, real quick, so that we can get, because we didn't do that last meeting. I think we're going to spend this money. They should deserve to hear part of the presentation, why you wanted the ladder truck and what it's going to get rid of the generator and the capabilities it has.
Yeah. So the current truck we have right now is 22 years old. And the life cycle of those trucks are anywhere from 15 years to 25 years, and everywhere in between. So we've been seeing the maintenance uptick over the past couple of years, increase on those, which is typical. So we're increased costs, and then then you kind of look at are we doing a lot of repairs, and we start to lose a little bit of confidence in the truck, especially something specialized like that. But when I look at our fleet and everything along that line, it just became apparent to me that we might be a little bit heavy, and in order to maximize it, essentially combining two trucks into one, while making that one even smaller than the current fleet that we have as far as size goes. So it's going to be able to function a little bit more, a little bit better for us, responding to the city. So instead of having two fire engines and one ladder truck, we'll have one fire engine and one ladder truck, and that ladder truck will serve as a fire engine as well, so they don't have dual roles on that.
He made a good point last time too. I was curious about this. But you want to tackle a fire from above, and not one of those be specific on where you're aiming the water to get maximized.
Yeah, a lot of times, especially on larger fires, you look at some of these condo buildings, and you'll see them. It seems like every week you'll see it on the news. These roofs just being on fire and just marching through. The way to attack those is you can't really get inside there because it's too dangerous and too untenable for firefighters to get inside there. So that's why you see the ladder trucks going up above there to hopefully stop it from getting anywhere else in that complex and just stop the loss that way. We're going for 100 foot. Obviously, we don't have a lot of buildings in the city that are very tall, but we have the setbacks in order to get a ladder that's going to reach this foot setback and get above it. There's a 3-story building. It's the reason why we're going for 100 foot.
Chief, what was the significance of the single axle?
Yeah, the single axle versus the tandem axle, which we have right now, is a maneuverability. The ladder truck we have right now, we've been pretty fortunate. We've been able to get it to most of the areas in the city. There's some areas that we can't get it there. We can't use it. I've been on 2 fires personally where we really would have loved to have that ladder truck. And, we have to do the old lob thing where we try to lob the fire streams up onto and let it fall down. Whereas the ladder truck would have really given us a good strategic objective as far as getting down like that. So, the single axle is probably just as maneuverable as the newest pumper that we have, which is a 2011 right now, and that's significantly smaller than that. We test drove both of the manufacturers through the city, and the one spot we took it was down Miller, across South Shaw, back into Henry and Holmes and Days with no problem. And that's really our tight spot in the city. And had no issues with cars parked on the street or anything on that line, so.
And going down by one vehicle doesn't affect the
No, we still maintain that as far as our council requirements.
All right. Thank you for that.
One more, is there a benefit to maybe keeping one, if we have incidents where we have two things going on at once, you got the ladder truck dispatched to one, and then you've got another incident on the other side of town?
Yeah, if we have one incident, we got all of our manpower tied up with that incident, so we don't have anybody that's sick to the other one. We would have to call it mutual aid, yeah.
Good suggestion, yeah.
If there are no other comments, I'll call the question. Roll call vote for this. Is there a second? Yeah, there was a second.
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you all.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right.
I have a few topics, see if we're like, oh, I'm sorry, all this is.
Yeah.
Can I, real quick too, I've got one thing related to the chief, fire department.
Sure.
I just think it's, I want the public to know, if you don't already know, I utilized his services. My wife and I reiterated him a baby about 2 weeks ago, and not every city offers this service. It's awesome. He's got some trained staff. I got on schedule with Chief Heyman. We came in, we brought our vehicle, and they did a quick vehicle inspection, and we brought our car seat. Believe it or not, I'm a relatively handy guy. These car seats, I mean, they can be crazy. And it was like a 20-minute appointment and made us feel very comfortable with the proper way to install it safely, and it's just great peace of mind, and it's a free service. And so anybody who might need to take advantage of it, it's called Chief Heyman. It was awesome.
And while we're still on fire department, are you getting CPR classes? What's the process to register and get certified?
Yeah, so to answer both of y'all's questions, both of them are on our website. Through the fire department link, under the public education, you can schedule for CPR. You can also schedule for car seat installation. So it's pretty seamless.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. Old business, we have none. New business, we have none.
I have a couple of topics I just want to bounce around here real quick. The reservoir, we have a new head of the water department now, it's Lindsay Ratton. Is there discussion going on about reopening the walking at the reservoir?
Yes, so I spoke with her already regarding that. We won't be doing anything until they clear out the south reservoir, which is their next operation starting early next year. So what they did at the north reservoir, they've been doing at the south. Once that happens, then we continue our conversations about it.
Do they anticipate the same problem that they had in the north reservoir with the south, where it's going to drag on and on and on?
No, so the reason it drug on the north one is because they contracted it to be, all the sludge to be removed. And once they got through their second contractor that they fired, they went ahead and bought their own equipment and had their own staff doing it. So now they know the process, they'll be doing it the same way. My very large ask for them was not to use North or South West Avenue to transport the equipment like they did last time, because that was their intent, was to bring it back up and continue through. And we had lots of issues with that on the south end here. So they have agreed to take it out 27 per our request. So that won't be impacting us there. But we have worked on a couple plans, Lindsay and I, on how we have the ability to reopen. They're not opposed to it. There will need to be some other security features added, but that'll probably be a 2-year out project.
Okay, you're optimistic though that we're going to
have
it open for walking again?
Yes.
And then another topic real quick I'd like to touch on. In our email, we have the sample ordinance which revised the deer hunting hours that we were going to have discussion on tonight, and we're not, but I will initiate it anyway. Part of my concern is with the process that if we're going to discuss it, which I'm bringing it up, I responded to the email, and naturally, you know that I'm highly opposed to extending the hours beyond 10 a.m. for obvious reasons of safety with kids in the woods, because we want the kids in the woods and off their screen. and they don't know borders in the woods. So I'm hoping that we can take that off the table, and further consideration of altering our deer hunting ordinance hours. To do it all day long from a half hour before sunrise to a half hour after sunset is asking for problems. So, is this dead in the water, I hope, and we're...
No, it's not.
It's not.
We're gonna discuss it, we're gonna move it to committee.
Public safety?
Law liquor license.
Law liquor license, is that the proper committee? It's a very much
I
safety
think so.
issue.
I think that's where it's.
Public safety would be a fire or police thing, I believe.
So why was this table when it was put in the email? I mean, why was it brought up tonight? And what is going on with that?
It was a sample ordinance of what the ordinance would look like if it were to change. And it's gonna be discussed in committee.
What is the reasoning behind that? Is it?
Yeah, I mean, do we have a report of more deer vehicle collisions, or what problem are we addressing?
It's not necessarily working the way that it should, because people don't have the opportunity to sit in the woods at the time that they can sit in the woods and can. So, there's some research that goes into it.
Is that benefiting the city somehow? I mean, do we have proof that this is somehow needed?
It's just a convenience thing for the people who want to hunt?
It creates more opportunity to take more deer.
Why is that needed though? Every time anything's been done with the deer, I don't remember this, there has been studies done, there has been safety issues, there's counts, there's a problem. But suddenly this is happening right before, it seems a little odd that it was rushed through, sent an email, there's a draft ordinance
Nothing was
or
rushed
something.
through. I asked Matt to look into an ordinance and give an example of what it would look like, and Matt gave an example of what the ordinance would look like. It's not, Ken brought it up, it wouldn't have been discussed.
But it was sent an email that it would be discussed.
I'll get you that too, because I had a conversation about this as well. The reason that I thought didn't need to be discussed tonight is it's the whole transparency conversation. We don't want to get into, no council action is going to happen tonight regardless, so we need to take it to committee, whatever committee that may be, and have a full-fledged conversation about it.
Right, it needs to be on the agenda and all that stuff
100%.
before, so
That's
people
why
can
companies
know
discuss
and
it.
are aware, because we don't, it's
100%.
never happened, we've never done that before, and all of a sudden there's little ones, you jump it in at the last minute, late Friday night, you get an email. And it seems those are slid in there. There's not much time.
It was not gonna be discussed tonight, and Ken would have brought it up, so.
Well, it needed to be brought up. I mean, I think people need to be made aware that this is something that's being considered. I just can't believe that we would even go there, I mean, from a safety issue. I mean, give people time to go home and have a couple drinks before they go out and hunt, come on.
And the whole reasoning that these hours, if you look, I mean, you probably have to go back and video it out. The whole reason the hours were there is because children play in the woods.
And we encourage children to play in the woods.
I have kids run through, there's deer, I mean, there's plenty of room to hunt behind my house. On all these properties. But there are kids running through there.
Well,
And you've got people with
yeah, Ben is correct. The proper procedure is for it to go to committee. And I'm not sure why the email went out or how it went out or any of that, but it'll go to committee and it'll be advertised so everybody knows about it. And then we can get further information and discuss it. I doubt even with one committee that there'd be any change, because I'm sure there'll be information that will need to be gathered unless staff is able to gather that before we schedule the first meeting.
Yeah, I just think that we always have to put safety way above hunting and or whatever. I mean, they can still hunt in other areas, right? In other cities or other out in the county where it might be a little safer.
That's not the point of the area of discharge ordinance. It's to reduce the herd in the city.
But our herd, what is the sudden problem with the herd? Where did that come from is my question.
We'll talk about it.
It's perceived, I guess. We don't have studies, we don't have and we don't have new data from the PD saying we have more deer or conflicts this year than in prior years. So we're addressing a problem.
We do have data.
We don't know any of that.
Yeah, what did you say?
We do have data, and we will discuss it.
What kind of data?
Well, Well, we have numbers from the police department that show that the accidents are not decreasing the way that they should be. We have information that came from the state, from the game boards they were gonna be here tonight, but we told them that we were gonna discuss it tonight. So there's conversations that will be
Why
had.
does this happen behind the scenes? That's what I want to know. Why is this not up later? You have all this background information. You guys have all this background information.
We're gathering information to
Maybe Friday,
present.
we get something in email.
We're gathering
Hey, this is
information
what
to
we wanna
present
do.
to
There's
the.
no reasoning why. There's nothing.
We are gathering information, doing our due diligence to gather information to bring to committee to have a
So
discussion.
you're finding information that will back up your suggestion.
Just like anything else, yes.
That will put that it's going to be strong enough to risk our children's lives.
That is not accurate, but.
That's part of,
Yeah.
that's part of the discussion we had at the committee, yeah.
That's
The
absolutely
thing is,
So
we want it to go to committee.
Does the appropriate committee look along license that if it is such a safety concern?
Well, I wasn't here, but it would most likely be the committee of the whole. I mean, everybody's invited to the committee, so that's.
Do we make a motion to send it to a committee and to go to committee, is that how it works?
Or committee of the whole?
I don't even know.
Originally, it was in law, labor, and license, that's where it should stay. But it doesn't matter, everybody's welcome.
How should it stay there if it's
It
so
doesn't
obvious
matter.
there's safety?
You're welcome to, anybody's welcome to come to the committee.
If they are aware that they're happening.
But why, it's always been public safety, why is it now right now?
I don't know what it was. We'll look back and see.
Who's off on labor license?
I'm on it.
Yeah.
Who's on?
I think
Mr.
Charlie was
Peterman's the
Charlie was
chair.
the chair.
Mr. Bowman and Mr. Pendry are members.
I think it sounds to me like it should be council as a whole. It doesn't matter what, like I said, I was at the finance meeting today. I have my concerns with it as well as they do. And there's pros and cons to everything, you know what I mean? I'm not sure that increasing hours will take away the population of people hunting because they want big bucks.
Right.
Not necessarily those, but it could be further conversation. I don't think we need to drag it out tonight, but I don't believe in evening hunts, but that doesn't mean, I don't want to hear what people have to say.
We will make sure that everybody gets the information about it. We had a meeting.
One other quick question, I'm sorry, I don't want to, take the meeting forever, but, any progress on charging stations for the 2 parking lots?
The two parking
The lot off of Miller and then
Yes,
the lot.
yeah, we met with Duke Energy and we know everything we need to do to establish one for the future. But they're about $10,000 each, so we haven't figured out moving forward. But we're still working on the replacement costs for the parking lot first.
Okay. I mean, it seems like this would be the time to do that.
Just to,
Definitely conduit.
just to prepare for it. In reality, there's not a lot of conduit that's going to be needed because of the way the parking lot and Duke Energy has looked at it. So we'll be good. What I wanted to do based on your email was make sure we're ready for it if we did want to do that in the future. Right now, my focus is replacing the parking lot, which is a very large expense right now.
So the conduit that would happen at that time?
Honestly, there's no need for conduit right now.
Oh.
Because it's gonna be on the outer edge. I had a meeting with Duke Energy and their electric charging group. I had an on-scene with their electric charging group, myself, Greg, and Kevin. So we've got a full background on how we can do that moving forward if that's what the council wants to do.
Have you had any back and forth with OKI at all about any potential grants to
No,
offset?
I have not reached out to them yet.
Okay, I think there will be opportunities there too. And then info from all the providers, Flow and the other ones that operate this.
I have looked at Flow, but I haven't looked at any other ones because there's other factors we have to consider before we can even start down that path.
Thank you.
I have one question real quick, just, people have been asking what's going on down in Mount Park, just send me a picture of Kevin down there, working with somebody down there, holes being dug and blah, just curious.
The holes were exploratory, trying to find a sewer line that was not located before due to all the, they just weren't able to find it, so we had to find it with a piece of equipment. Well, there's a sewer project that we need to be doing. We're replacing that area anyway, so they were trying to find markings for that.
All right, Finance Committee report on disbursements.
Report of disbursements, August 12th through September 14th, 2022. General Fund, $179,403.05. Public Works KDOT Fund, $43,794.78. CBD revitalization, $692,714.90. Waste fees, $101,866.66. Police and Fire Pension Fund, $1,563.07. Total, $1,019,342.46. We, the undersigned members of the Finance Committee, recommend that warrants numbered 11687 through 11855 be approved, and the treasurer be authorized to issue checks for their payment. Mr. Pendry, chairperson, Mr. Fiesel, member, Mr. Peterman, member.
Entertained motion? Move approval. Second? Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Kelly. Mr. Pendry.
Aye.
Mr. Bowman.
Aye.
Mr. Fiesel.
Aye.
Mr. Blau.
Aye.
Mr. Peterman.
All right, we're down to ordinance, resolutions, and orders. Ordinance 010.
Ordinance number 010, 2022, an ordinance providing for the imposition, levy, collection, and apportionment of the taxes of the city of Fort Thomas, Campbell County, Kentucky, for the year 2022, and fixing the tax rate.
Second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Kelly. Mr. Henry. Mr. Bowman.
Aye.
Mr. Beazle.
Aye.
Mr. Black. Mr. Peterman.
All right, take the order. Number 15.
Executive Order EO 15, 2022, an executive order appointing Casey Carr as a chaplain for the city of Fort Thomas, Campbell County, Kentucky Fire Department, and fixing his compensation for the 2022-2023 fiscal year.
No actions required on that. Executive order EO 16.
Executive Order EO 16, 2022, an executive order appointing Sam Barley as a lieutenant for the city of Fort Thomas, Campbell County, Kentucky Fire Department, and fixing his compensation for the 2022-2023 fiscal year.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved. Is there a second? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
Joe, I think the date on this is wrong. It should be the 17th. 12th.
17.